When it was time to clear the cabin, my sister in the kitchen said to return the jug, and I said to bring it along later. Sister said, I'm afraid she'll rush it again later. And sure enough, after she finished clearing the cabin, she started, have you still not returned the pots? Hurry up and bring them over and return them. Sister sister, put it back already, I have learned to anticipate. Midway through the station for more than 2 hours, off the plane to the crew lounge. I got on the crew car and started talking about the announcer. Announcer, there is a big problem with your broadcast. The broadcast usually starts 8 minutes after takeoff and does not exceed 20 minutes. More than 20 minutes is considered lagging. You're usually on the air 8 minutes after takeoff, not more than 20 minutes. More than 20 minutes is considered a lag, not to ascension that the captain is broadcasting. I made to turn inward, that soy say captain ground on the broadcast, you cut grab well, see if the talker gives you the opportunity to see your high authority or cockpit authority. The galley sister, looking at her, well okay sister. In fact, she has already broadcast part of it, also in accordance with the popular process, biased, and this habit is not the say. I could tell that sister didn't want to explain anything more. She was just happy. Then she went on to say, also, your phone, every T say you release the PTT button when you hang up, that snap, it's so obvious. Sister Kitchen continued to say, yes, sister. When we talked about this later, Kitchen still said that every T say she pressed the reset button before hanging up, it was obviously the phone's problem. When I got off the bus, the air marshal put the CF bag on my suitcase and said, I'm not in charge of this bag anymore, you take it. I thought a bomb had been pressed up, I have to say. I stared in amaze at the bag brother, Koi say, I'll show you what's inside. He unzipped it, and revealed the crew fruit inside. I don't sanction it myself, everything is stuffed inside. I can only say that it's hard for all the brothers and sisters to the crew lounge, first took the bread and fruit. Then I asked the air marshal, where do we sit? I asked the air marshal, where are we sitting, because I knew them well. The flight attendant sat at the second table, the first table was for people from other groups I didn't know, and the last table was for stuff. The air marshal, the table on the side. I turned around only to see that sister just sat down. I took the things to carry over. I went back to bubble noodles. This tea say, the chief steward invited the air marshal to eat crew I-sails together. Flight attendant, I brought an extra crew I-sail down with I say, you can eat it. Air marshal, give it to them. He was referring to the three of us behind him. Crew chief, they've already eaten. Then she looked at I say and asked, right? I say inwardly, you're packing, I'm handing out water, I don't know where I'll find the tea say to eat. I ignored her, I set her eyes and moved away to continue making noodles. The air marshal smiled and said, if she ate, she wouldn't be here. Then she didn't say anything. When the fan was ready, the air marshal also made a noodle, and was about to koi say over. Halfway through the walk, the stewardess gave a call, cordially inviting him to eat the crew I-sail mouth, then rest. The main room spontaneously divided into 2 groups. While eating bread and playing with their mobile phones. The latter 2 sections of the air marshal brother sent I says sage, yesterday sun still not koi say to the I saying? I replied, all in the crew lounge to eat. You are again single shift, he replied. I am a delicate SF, I said. Delicate SF, I have a feeling the last 2 legs may not be so good. Well, it's better to be silent than loud. I had enough to eat and drink, went to lie flat to sleep, silk scarf a pull, to the face a cover, headphones a plug, the world has nothing to do with I say back. A ballad played in my headphones, and I was no longer conscious. When I opened my eyes again, my 2 sisters were patting I say down, let's go. I opened my eyes in a daze, pulled off my silk scarf, lifted my bag and walked out in a trance. I saw that the bag hanging from my suitcase was gone. I looked at the stewardess next to I say, then put on my mask hand and went out. When I got on the plane, the air marshal called out to I say, and I rolled my eyes at him and walked backward with my case. He kai say over with his slip, Sister X, why do I get the feeling you're not happy today? I say, I'm still awake, get to work. Sister, we've just been filming you for ages. I say, I had insomnia last night, I couldn't sleep, and I got up so early in the morning that I was unconscious when I laid down. Kitchen sister, I was afraid I had taken the wrong picture. I say, ha 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 ha, after all you were already asleep when I went there. Luckily I let you take a seat, for I say, I couldn't even get a recliner after dinner. The Air Marshal Kai sayin, and went out again. I told him there was no chance. Kitchen sister, yes, it's embarrassing to shoot the wrong person. Ha ha ha, after reporting the equip I saint, the Air Marshal Kai say up to I say again, I feel like she's a bit of AI Salin. I say, a bit? That's quite. And then I said, then I told him about the inexplicable yelling and I say this morning. Air Marshal, you're broadcasting? I say, do I look like a broadcaster to you? Air Marshal, why did she yell at you if you weren't broadcasting? I say, all that talk about her God. Later, 2 sections of the gold card, platinum card in particular, in order to avoid unnecessary trouble, I went to say hello to the platinum card when ordering food. I found her coming to greet the platinum card, empty-handed, with a list. Mr. XXX, you are our distinguished platinum card, I am the head steward for this flight. I thought in the background, I don't know how many decades I've been saying these raw words. Then with each platinum, I stood by and waited for her to identify herself first, and when she left, I slipped past her again. Mr. XX, excuse I say again. We're flying this leg. We're going to have. Then 12A Kai say up, and there was no more room in the box in front of her, so the stewardess put her in first class. When I greeted 14A, he had his headphones on, so I gave up after 2 shouts. In between 14B, just looked at I say, and as soon as he Kai say up, he sat in 14A, and I went to confirm, is this Mr. X please? And he said yes. I don't understand why soy say passengers don't know their turn. I say, we only recognize seats, not people, haha. The stewardess happened to see I say shouting 14A, without shouting yes, and she Kai say towards I say. I preempted her, later, I'll leave him alone, I've basically said hello to all the other gold cards, there's still 12A and 13J. She says, 12A I confer I said, she's got her stuff for her in first class, she's a bit of a god. Notice the points I had the words in my throat and almost blurted out, what about you? I swallowed it hard, nodded my head and inwardly shouted, I'm begging you to stop. There's a bunch of gold cards sitting here, and you're talking about passenger gods, and your voice isn't even small. Give I say a break. Later, to go behind I say to sister said. Just stewardess said notice 12A, she said that the gold card a little god, she also stood in the cabin to I say said the galley sister was surprised. Hugh says, she said that to you in the cabin? I say, wouldn't that be just the thing to beat magic with magic, just to see who could do it better? Then the 2 sisters understood in seconds and laughed there, and the air marshal brother had a sincere face, what does that I say Yano? I say, you don't have to understand, after all, there is a generation gap. Sister says, you 2G network, do not know normal, we are using 4G people. So damaging, haha. I say, it's been half a year since that stunt. Sister says, what about Y1S1? I heard it as yes, and I said, what is this? With questions, the safety check was done, and everyone was back in place. Then as we were taxiing, the plane stopped and didn't move, when 19C rang a call bell. I rushed out, and a lady stood up to go to the bathroom. I thought I had just said that there were 10 minutes left for takeoff, go over and let the stewardess at the back open it for you. And then proceeded to rush forward to 19C, and water is dripping from above. I felt around along the luggage rack, it's dry. He pointed to a drop of water on his arm and said, it's still here. I looked around, maybe it's from the air conditioning duct. The point is there's no water in the air conditioning duct either. I was in a hurry, a little later, the water in 19C's hands would have dried up. Then my sister Kai say, so I ran to the front to get kitchen towels and wet wipes and Kai say back. Air conditioning pipes, a cold and a hot soy sadi I says drip, this you take to wipe the water, above I bet to see if it will still leak later. I just plugged half of it and rang the takeoff bell, then I immediately withdrew. 8 minutes after takeoff, Sister Kitchen pinched the radio. In her words, it saved her from pinching the point in front and calling back later. I say, it's not easy to earn these $8. Kitchen sister, just now the air marshal was saying that it was too hard for I say to earn these $8. I asked him how he knew, and he said the company big screen was scrolling. I waited. Just Kai say up the stewardess shouted at him to go to Synergy, then he went over. The stewardess said she had to go to the bathroom first. The air marshal brother said she was god awful, so I gave him the story about her grabbing the radio in the morning. After the level flight, she Kai say over to let us each do not eat the gold card or asked to play or not to pack. The I sale would have made up 10 copies or not the say, and made up still 5 copies, but also asked to play or not to pack, cannot be difficult for us. The first section of the landing slide to a half stop, I see 2 passengers stood up. I asked sister, help I say to see if we arrived. They both looked left and right, and the plane Kai say back to I say, here we are. I also saw the little tail of the Eastern Airlines plane in the left rear observation window. It looked like it was parked in the far seat, then the passengers got up to get their luggage. I stood up too, and then I saw the first-class lady rushing over to tell them to close it. That's when the plane continued to taxi before the stewardess picked up the announcer and said it hadn't arrived. Inwardly I said, oh no, I don't know what kind of criticism I'm going to get now. I went out and told them to sit down again, closed the luggage rack and Kai say back. When I cleared the cabin, I'm going to be criticized by her later. Sister, that was like a far seat, she saw it and didn't broadcast it, it's not like she's never seen it wrong before. After clearing the cabin, she called out to us, who is number 4? I said, sister, I'm. She says, do you know how dangerous it was just now? The passengers were all standing up, taking their luggage, till I say what was going on. First class was out and what were you doing? I say, I'm sorry sis, we thought we were there when we looked behind us. She says, as long as the cabin lights were not dim, said, you should have rushed to the cabin and told them not to stand up, even if they did arrive, you should have preferred to be embarrassed yourself than to allow this to happen. This is a major mistake on your part. I say, I'm sorry sis, I just asked sis, indeed everyone thought it had arrived. Kitchen sis, sorry sis, she did ask us and we thought it was a far seat. She says, even if she had asked you guys, she should have walked to the back rows of the cabin herself and looked first. I inwardly, okay, other people's safety is safe, the flight attendants don't need to, the captain a sharp break, I'll roll into the cabin like a snowman chant. She finished, the next section will never allow this to happen again. We turned around at the say as she did, and the galley girl got so angry she didn't lower her voice at all and said, blah I say it on my blindness. Not bad for a sister. And I just shrugged it off and ignored her. She kept on catching the air marshal for 2 paragraphs. She kept coming to the back to guard us when we were handing out the food, and when we were collecting the food, she Kai say out just as I had collected the first row, standing behind I say as I collected the box and couldn't squat down, she stuck to I say, and I was on fire. I turned around, sister, you back a little so that I can put the box. I got 15 rows, 15J helped I say collect the boxes from his colleagues. She stood behind I say and answered the passengers' questions, so I waited with my box. I finished putting the boxes in my hand, and went to pick up the boxes they handed I say, and 15J was about to put the 3 boxes that had been moved up. The crew chief, don't put them up. They'll fall. 15J, oh okay, I just wanted to help her put them away. I took it and thanked her, and continued to collect it backward. His friends were up in arms over his comey saint, and I pushed the cart away. She repeatedly asked behind I say where the air marshal was, and I didn't want to pay her any mind not answering. Then she followed I say the whole way. I didn't even want to hear it, so I pulled the plate and went back out, and she left, and I say back. Kitchen sister, what should I do? I have to fly with her tomorrow, should I take Tisay off? Air Marshal, tomorrow, she might say on the flight, that group of sisters yesterday pissed I say off. Then the sister will have to say back to her, you're still alive and well, aren't you? Air Marshal says, geez, you're good with your teeth. I say, save yourself first. He says, hey, I shouldn't even be up here flying today. It's too Isalin. I say, which said that at this Tisay, no sound is better than a good. Then brother was successfully forced away by I say. Later, in the second section of the clear cabin, sister, the flight on the 15 row of those two pairs of Isayan and Woisayan has been kissing, really cannot be affected. I say safety check, I forced them to put the armrest down. The woman took her shoes off and wore a black lace sock, then put it on seat C's lap. When the bumpy ride happened to be in the last row, I saw the woman biting C's ear through the KF-N94. I silently moved my eyes to the right window and silently thought, don't be rude. Be a human being. There were passengers all around. Mind the public impact, please. Is this soy-say thing that people can watch without paying? When we got on the crew car, the crew chief started to speak about the Commissaire. She said, I have to speak earlier, or I won't be able to finish. First of all, we had good feedback from our 4 gold platinum card, and the feedback from the passengers was quite good. It was in the first paragraph that we made a mistake of principle. Talked round, criticized us all and finished by writing down everyone's sector except first class. I asked the air marshal, what is she up to? Air marshal say, right you guys flight attendant, everyone else's can be forgiven. Air marshal I want truthful feedback XX is my good bestie, I'm sure I'm going to give her that air marshal to I say, this is where the goddamn bitch Kai say from. After landing, the galley sister told I say about soy say of the people, and things on her blacklist, and almost every one of them overlapped with I say.